Hello everyone, and welcome back to I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. We have 3 years left of this life. We have our little pet Roomba behind us. Hecking adorable. Got something unlocked with Tang there. Hopefully that is her 100 friendship event. We've been at 100 with her for a while, but, you know, plot. I think last time we pretty much finished out... Ooh, events with both of them, too. Pretty sure we finished out the events with robotics. We unlocked nursing. And I had a commenter on last episode, Toga Mid 2001, who mentioned that it kind of seems like when you unlock double kudos rewards for working in a field, you've pretty much hit the end of its storyline. We're not quite sure if that's true, but it seems like a pretty good guess. I know that a lot of the endings that are like non-event specific, you know, you reach year 20, here is your epilogue, those endings, they involve doing the same job the most. So like, we obviously got Explorer last time when we were the second Surveyor. But this time, if I do a bit more Robotics Lab, I think we'll get like the Robotic Expert ending. Still, we've got 3 more years. We might as well see if we can do the medical bay stuff. I'm not really going for a specific ending on this run. Getting the root kernel access code was the most important thing. We did that. And I knew I wanted to be science-focused and romance Tang, which, hopefully, we are doing. Ah, yes, it's this event. We did have this one before, so I think this is not their 100 friendship one, but it is an important one. You spot Tang heading behind the engineering wing and follow, only to find she's disappeared. Then you look up and see an access ladder leading to a maintenance platform by the engine turbines, long, silent, and starting to rust. You climb up to the platform. Tang is there, lying on her back and staring at the sky. A hatch beside her leads back into engineering. That must be how she knows about this place. She doesn't acknowledge you until you're almost standing over her, your shadow fighting the overcast light. She blinks with the sluggishness of someone who's only just remembered it's a necessity, and licks her lips before she speaks. Do they need me in there? You shake your head, and Tang doesn't sigh in relief, exactly, though her eyes slip closed again. Good, she murmurs. It's all too much right now. I thought... Her mouth twitches. I don't know what I thought. I don't know what I'm doing up here. What's going on, Tang? Tang huffs a small smile and folds her hands over her stomach. You know, I think I may be burned out. Or depressed. In Earth movies, depressed teenagers would sneak out onto the rooftops, she says. I confess, I don't think I see the appeal. Maybe it would be better if I had alcohol or cigarettes. She shakes her head. Blanking out your mind with substances is what my mom used to do, not me. I have to try. See how it goes. I know how to take her mind off things. Tang's nose crinkles. Wait, you can't seriously mean, she says, then laughs. Maybe another time, but I appreciate the thought. But... I can't imagine romantic entanglements right now, not with everything going on. Purely physical? An interesting proposal, Tang says. I might load this because I am actually interested in romance. Did you get the idea from the rumors about me and Mars? Tang sits up and slips her coat off her shoulders. Orgasm releases endorphins that can provide temporary relief from the symptoms of depression, she says, then tips her head at you with a cheeky smile. Not to put any pressure on you to perform, of course. Simply put, I could use the distraction. Alright, maybe romance comes after? Releasing endorphins, oh dear. +1 for every other mental card. That's a pretty good card. Tang extends her hand to you and pulls to your knees beside her. That doesn't mean we're dating, or that I even like you like that, she says. And this is a mutually beneficial arrangement, that's all. Can we vie for maybe making it special down the line? Tang blinks at you. You like me? She leans away from you, eyebrows furrowing. I'm sorry, she says. I don't think I feel the same. Well, I mean, I would have to think about it. Okay. I'm glad I went with this path. Obviously, we'll have to do the other one at some point to get that card, unless we can get it from different places, but... Tang looks away, shrinking under your gaze. Things are too complicated right now, she says quietly. I don't want to drag you down with me. Can't you tell me what's going on? Tang smiles, self-effacing, and doesn't look at you. I don't think so, she says. Maybe. Will you sit with me? You lie down beside Tang and watch the gentle revolution of the sky for a few minutes. You can hear the caginess seep out of Tang as you lie there in silence, until finally she speaks. Do you ever think about humanity? She asks slowly. Humans are such a glorious, beautiful, utterly self-destructive thing, she continues. They only ever create by destroying, and in turn, they hasten their own demise. Tang finally looks at you, her hollow eye lighting up her cheekbones. She looks gaunt. It was the belief in human supremacy and unchecked innovation that doomed humankind on Earth, she says. Does it seem like we're going down the same path here, on Vertumna? I believe we can do better here. So we took away a help tangent point. I think we did that the last time we did this, because, like... Come on, balance with the environment, baby! Tang takes a deep breath and lets it all out. I think so, too. I just don't know how. I don't know if any of us do. We're only human. I didn't uncover the files about the virus on this life, I'm just realizing. I wonder why that is. Is it because I wasn't quite as perceptive? I do have at least a perk in perceptive, but still. Sometimes I wonder, she continues, then pauses. Sometimes I wonder why we even sent humans to explore space. Given our track record, you would think perhaps an artificial intelligence would have been wiser. No ego to get in the way, no questions about ethics or morality. After all, we learned in Earth history that when human colonists traveled from Europe to the Americas, they nearly killed everyone who already lived there because they spread disease, like a plague. Tang looks at her hands. I just can't help but wonder if we're doing the right thing. So we didn't find out about the virus here. I see. The hatch to the laboratory clangs open, and Tang jumps. There you are, Instant says, just her head and shoulders visible through the hatch. Have you finished recalibrating that strand sequencer yet? Tang scrambles to her feet and brushes off the seat of her pants. No, not yet. Oh, man, if we had started doing shit, she would have walked in on that. I was waiting on the results from BH 4316 and... Instance clicks her tongue against her teeth and raises a hand to interrupt Tang. They're ready, she says. I need that sequencer ready for the G4100 samples. Her eyes flick to you. If you're done, she adds icily. Yes, ma'am, Tang says, cowed, and slides into the hatch after Instance. As her head disappears past the roofline, you catch a fleeting hint of an expression on her face you can't name. That's worrisome. That went better last time. Romance-wise, I think we took it the way we needed to. But stopping the virus-wise, I'm worried. We didn't even get to, like, talk about it, so we'll have to see how that goes. I don't like to think about the war, Tammy says, tucking a lock of hair behind her pointed ear. I'm not a soldier, you know. But everyone has to do what they can to pitch in. And what I can do is make sure the colony is running smoothly, so they have a colony to protect. Do you like fruit? I can't remember. Nope. She doesn't hate it, though, so that works. Alright, you two, what you got? Over the years, a lot of people have started wearing a lot less clothing than you remember from when you were growing up on the climate-controlled stratospheric. Definitely a lot less than in the Hollowitz. Yeah, okay. This is not new. Take your own shirt off in solidarity. Our empathy is good, but not quite that good. We're not gonna flirt with him this time. Are you kidding me? He asked, throwing his arms wide. First, it's hot as balls out here. I work outdoors and hooey! No joke, I'd take off more if I could. He cranes his head up to the sky. Second, I like the feeling of the sun on my skin. After 15 years in a sunless tube hurtling through space, I want to soak in as much of it as I can. It makes me feel great. Rex laughs and knocks himself into your shoulder. I think our bodies were meant to live this way. Don't even get me started about pants, bud. Preach! Pants suck. One of humanity's greatest evils. Blah blah blah. Yeah, definitely done this one before. Do the same thing as last time, why not? We'll make up a new ending to the show. You rock, Nomi. Alright. I think that was it. Parents have nothing new, and Cal has nothing new. Maybe we'll give Cal a log, though? Weird. Cal is holding an ice pack to his face. Hey, Garrett, he greets you, giving you a half-hearted wave. Don't worry, he says, indicating the swelling scrape across his cheek. Kinda weird how me and Rex get so clumsy around the Helio kids, huh? Oh, I understand. Ugh, fucking Helio kids. Have a log, my dude. Stay strong. Your mom is using the quiet time to plan this year's crop layout. It's important to rotate the crops to ensure something nitrogen replenishment? She doesn't explain it very well. I've got max biology. I should totally be able to understand that. Okay. I think we're good to just head back into engineering. Okay, so we're probably done repairing robots, but I'd like to do it once or twice more just to kind of see. We should definitely assist in med bay. I might do a bit more, xenobotany, though, because I'd like to get the perk for organizing. Let's just see what happens when we do robots. Oh, there's new stuff. When he's not on expedition, oh, and I'm worried about him and his bomb, Dice sometimes hangs out in the robotics lab with you. He always felt more of a kinship with the bots, you guess. No squishy feelings or complex social interactions. They just do what they're programmed to do. You've watched a strange friendship blossom between him and Nomi Nomi, like a crow and a hummingbird. They bond over their mutual love of both robotics and xenofauna. It's kind of cute that the two weird nerds from each ship found each other, despite their clear personality differences. Nomi's working today and has asked Dice to test a new prototype for what they describe as the next generation in functional fashionable exploration wearables. Looks like the robotic exoskeletons used by the construction crew, but dialed up to comic proportions, with cool missile launchers and a jetpack. Okay, that's pretty awesome. I saw it in an anime, they say, strapping Dice into the suit. It's super going to work. Okay, take a few steps. Dice looks at you with a panicked expression. He takes a few faltering steps, immediately straining the balance servos. The whole rig squeals as he lifts off balance and tries to regain it, but he's caught in a positive feedback loop of balance recalibration that only makes it worse. Dice's mechanically augmented limbs swing around wildly, knocking over a rack of bots and sweeping tools to the floor. You and Nomi scream and dive for cover. Not like this! Dice, turn it off! You turn it off! Dice yells back. I'm stuck in this thing! Nomi pulls up the controls for the suit on their holopalm and activates the kill switch. Mid-rampage, Dice crumples to the ground in a heap of plasteel limbs. You extract him from the wreckage. Nomi is distraught, but Dice just smiles and pats him on the shoulder. It's okay, Nomi. This is why I never try very hard, especially when other people might see. You should try anyway. Learning new things is fun, and getting better at stuff is fun. You tell Nomi they'll learn more from their mistakes than from their successes. There has to be something I'm good at, though, Nomi replies. Everyone else is super good at something. I can't wait to find my thing. You are very clearly the creative expert of this colony, so, you know, don't worry about it. Keep creating. You direct them to work on safer things, like cleaning up the lab. Dice and Nomi work well together. You can't help but listen to their easy banter as they work. Nomi could charm a smile out of a rock, but it's still surprising how well Dice responds to them. Like, even he doesn't quite understand the inexplicable pull Nomi exerts on him. I definitely ship. What you got for me, fairy? Wow, that is objectively an awful hand. Just good job to that, I guess. Oh, because 5 and 5. We can do better than that, yeah. 34. We've got no collectibles to help us here. Why are we struggling with this one? Damn, we just drew a very bad hand. I think that might be the best we can do, damn. Could have gotten a 40 there? How? Probably by messing around with the wild values more. Anyway, 17th birthday. Gonna party all night long. And look at that loyalty skyrocketing. Nothing new here. Going to dance. We're going for Tangent. Tangent is already shaking her head as you approach her for a dance. Absolutely not, she says. I'm not going anywhere near that sweaty mess. Well, she didn't say she wouldn't dance. She resists you tugging her into a slow dancing position, but relaxes when she realizes you don't intend to take her away from the safety of the refreshment table. She dances with you a little mechanically, her nose turning more pink as the song goes on, and drops her arms immediately when it's done. You follow her gaze to the dance floor, where Anemone and Vase seem to have skipped dancing and got straight to sucking face. Tange's lip curls. Ugh, thank you for not expecting me to do that. Maybe next time. After the slow songs, Nomi spins Congruence's music spins Congruence's music library to something with a little more bounce to it. Yeah. And it's the adults to do rude things. Oh yes, we are going to destroy all of Vertumna. Yeah, join fighter squad. Little angry. Yeah. Alright. What we got going for us? Tammy has something. How are you and Cal doing? Oh, yes, also cake. Forgot about the cake. Also, how you doing, Tammy? Nothing for you. Okay. Nothing with you two. I should go check up with Dice. Nothing with the parents or Cal. Dice is outside, I believe. Hey, Nemi. Or Anemone, as you were still referred to as. We have, like, 0 friendship this life. be honest, I haven't really done much making friends this life. Last life, I, made friends with, like, everyone. I've got, like, 30 friendship with you, my dude. I'm not leaving you alone. Do you want a cake? Have a cake. Oh. Oh, he straight up does not like cake. Oh. Well, then. Wasted my birthday cake. Oh, well. Don't care about working at the depot. Let's go do some xenobotany. I really want that organizing up. Your dad has an interesting sample he wants you to study today. So, kiddo, I've been cultivating something, he says. He shows you a plant with thick purple stalks and pairs of tiny, heart-shaped leaves. It's called Dizzyweed. We used to have something like it back on Earth. It makes you feel relaxed and silly, he continues. Kind of like bleb tea, but without the buzz. We're gonna study it together. Oh my god. Dad's a stoner! I approve. Good man. He looks at the sample. I'm pretty sure we can find a medicinal use for it. Yeah, no problem. Play it cool. Your dad just shared that he's a big ol' stoner. Did he have to stop when he left Earth? Wild. Your dad smiles. Okay, take a look at the sample and let me know what you find. Dizzyweed, 1 extra card when drawn? Oh yeah. You correctly assume your dad would be cool with you getting some hands-on experience with Dizzyweed. That's amazing. He explains how to chew the stems to ingest the funky-tasting juices and warns you to spit them out after or else it'll make you feel queasy. You do as he says, and within a few minutes, you feel a head rush that makes you so dizzy you need to lay your head down on your research bench. Hence the name, you guess. Your dad chuckles and rubs your back. Don't worry, this part is over fast, he says soothingly. You relax and let the Dizzyweed take you wherever it's gonna go. The dizziness does wear off within a few minutes, leaving you feeling pleasantly... floaty? Wow. Yeah, this is nice. Like everything is just a little softer, radiating gentle patterns when you turn your head. Your dad likes to chatter as he works, and you find yourself giggling at him more often. He's so funny, and so nice. It's really cool that he's so cool with showing you this. You have a cool dad. Cool. I'll tote to that. After a while, the high wears off, and you feel a little more corporeal. While you were circumnavigating the wormhole, Congruence helpfully crunched a few numbers and provides you with a report on the plant's chemical composition. What do you think? Does this have medicinal properties? Need biology 40 or greater? Yeah, it says so right here. Congruence's reports indicate that the Dizzyweed is more than just a fun diversion with some pain-killing properties. At a high enough concentration, it can actually fight off bacterial infection. Neat. Your dad is proud of your work in the field of pharmaceutical science. He floats you a few kudos and warns you definitely not to ingest a concentrate. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, now that was a good hand. Damn. Okay. And this one? Yeah. Could have gotten a 59 somehow. Still got the super goal, though. Man, that fidget spinner is putting in some serious work. I love it so much. Hey, Tang, you still working on a deadly bacteria? Yeah. No dialogue with you yet, though. I am the worries. Hey, Dice. Please don't blow up our wall. Definitely need to do a life focused on reuniting Tang and Dice to be good friends and family members again. Let's see if we got anything else queued up. You collect samples of spores to other samples of spores. Compare. They all look the same, even when you look at them under a microscope, but some are toxic and some aren't. It takes a lot of sensitive chemical analysis to determine if something's safe enough to eat. Card becomes mental. Okay. Don't really need it, I suppose. $53. And what do you think? Can you do better? $55. Ooh, not using this one, eh? What if we do $56? So it did make it better. Why? I mean, that became wild. Oh, and then that became wild. Or, intelligence. Yeah, okay, okay. Could have gotten a 58. Finally got the perk for organizing. Okay. Extra gear slot. Excellent. I was hoping it would be something like that. Tempting to have Roomba. Yeah, we'll have Roomba. Organizing is super boosted now. How's everyone doing in Pollen? You all having a good time? He dies. Yeah, we're not super close with Dice this life. That sucks. Hey Nemi. Hey Vase. Ah, something from Tang. Good. You bump into Tangent after a routine checkup in Medbay. Garrett, could you wait a moment? I'm almost done. Let's walk out together. Dr. Instance gives you a curious look as Tang hurries to catch up to you, but goes back to her work. You wonder if Tang needs something from you or just wants to hang out. Lately, it seems like she has less time for her friends, preferring to work late at the lab. Maybe she's lonely. Ah, nice weather we're having, Tang says, as you walk outside. You look around. It seems pretty normal for the season. She clears her throat. It's so different here than it was in space. Growing up in a spaceship was so clean and tidy. Here, I'm constantly sweeping pollen or dust or spores or what have you off of everything. And there was a mushroom growing in the corner of the bathroom the other day. Kinda like it. Yuck, Tang says, wrinkling her nose. You can have it. Oh, okay, so this must be where we have the conversation about the virus, but I think last time the order was reversed? Like, maybe that was the 90 friendship event with Tang, because we weren't quite at that when we had this conversation. You walk for a few more minutes. Tang clearly has something on her mind, so you let her sit with it until she finally steels herself. I'm not very good at this sort of thing, she says slowly. So, you know I've been working on a big project with the chief engineer? Yeah. You nod and she continues. Well, it's been going really well. I think we're finally over the last hurdle now. Governor Lum says it's going to change everything here in the colony for the better. Tang seems more at ease than you've seen her in years. No, that's not a good time. Truly, I couldn't have done it without you, Tang says, a slight smile warming her usually expressionless face. I know I can be a hard person to be around, but I appreciate everything you've done for me, and ultimately, for the colony, and all of humanity. What's really going on? I don't like that. I don't like that. I really don't like that we didn't find out about the virus. What did we do different? Is it just that we don't know Sim? Or that our perception isn't high enough? Tang shrugs. It's nothing, she says. I just think it's nice to take a moment to recognize when someone has helped you. I'm trying to do it more. If the last decade has taught me anything, it's that you don't want to wait until it's too late. She smiles cryptically. Well, as a friend or romance, we'll go with romance. Yeah, baby. You and Tangent find yourself alone on the path from engineering to the quarters wing. You edge closer to Tangent as you walk. She doesn't seem to notice and moves away, maintaining the distance between you. You look really hot? Yeah, that's dumb. She won't care for that. I have feelings for you. Might be okay, but that's a good logical way of doing it. I think she'll be down for that. You propose a formal amorous partnership between you, the one who might propose a scientific thesis. Or the way one might propose a scientific thesis. It would have mutually beneficial advantages, you tell her, and Tang stops in her tracks. I don't know what to say, she says slowly. She gives you a considering look. You're not the first person to suggest a partnership, but I must admit you're the first who piques my interest in return. You know what? Yes, she decides. You're entirely right. I like you, you like me. There's nothing stopping us from pursuing a relationship. Hella. I don't think she'd care for that one, so how should we begin? Tang smiles, a real one, showing her teeth. Oh, Garrett, if you like me, surely you expect nothing less than a completely rational response that takes into account both our feelings and our situation. I expect nothing less. Tang slips her hand into yours and steps close. Will you kiss me now, or shall I kiss you? You lean in and press your mouths together. Tang's lips are a little dry, and she smiles when you kind of stick together. Almost acceptable, she teases, licking her lips. She brings her hand to your face and guides you together and again into a kiss that's much better than the first. Tang is better at kissing than you expected. A better kisser. Man, I can't read today. Confident, unashamed, and methodical. You kiss until she tires of it, pulling away and touching her lips with a slight smile. I'm looking forward to continuing this train of thought, she says. Alright, well, that's a win, but this one all social skill increases. But I am really worried about the fact that we don't know about the virus. And by now we'd already discovered Dice and his bomb too, so that's probably going to go off this year at Glow. I'm worried. Tang is working late in the lab this evening as usual. What's unusual, though, is the smile that brightens her face when she looks up from her microscope and sees you. Garrett, oh, I'm glad you're here. I was just... No, actually, why don't you come over and see for yourself? You take a look through her microscope. Look at the shape of the spores, Tang says. I've only seen this once before, when we were studying the shimmer fungus. But this fungus isn't any of the ones we'd identified as capable of spreading the shimmer. She pushes you aside and looks through the microscope again, then makes more notes on her HoloLens. Just when I think we've got an understanding of something. Garrett, this could change everything. If more species are capable of spreading the spores, then the shimmer response is more widespread than we previously thought. Possibly even a planet-wide phenomenon. Tang looks positively energized. Because it's a new species, I get to submit a suggestion for its name. What do you think? Should I name it after you? I'd be honored. Tang smiles and inputs your name into her hollow eye. With a slight gesture of her hand, Tang's hollow eye turns off. She sighs and rubs her thumb and index finger over her eyes. It's even later than usual for me, isn't it? Time to pack up and get going before the sanitation team arrives in the morning. She yawns, then blinks rapidly in surprise. It seems that even I'm tired. You help her pack up her workstation. She turns the lights off with one last fond look at her laboratory. You and Tang take the long way through the colony, walking in companionable silence towards the general direction of the living quarters. You've come to enjoy these walks with Tang, moving like twin spirits through a sleeping world. Tang stops you before you head into the living quarters. Actually, let's not go straight back, she says. I want to stay out a little longer. You and Tang climb up onto the walls, where the wind coming from the forest is stronger, and keeps walking. The wilderness is dark and impenetrable past the defensive perimeter. Tang keeps you on the outside edge, subconsciously, or perhaps consciously, putting you between her and it. I hate thinking about what's out there, she says quietly. predators, dangers, diseases, all the monsters that have terrified humanity since the dawn of time, and they're right outside these walls. It's not so bad out there. She wraps her arms around herself as she walks, looking down at the ground, and inside as well. Monstrosity is the human condition, too. Every horrible thing endemic to humanity, jealousy, aggression, fear, pride, it's still here in us. We brought it, just like we brought potatoes and corn. It's terrifying to think of what horrors we're capable of inflicting here, as we did on Earth. You walk a little farther before Tang, seemingly in the middle of some deep thought, stops and turns to you. Garrett, are you happy here? She winces and bites her lip. No, I don't mean happy precisely. Happiness is irrelevant to a survival situation. What I mean is, do you enjoy a future here? One that you would have chosen for yourself, should you have been given the option? Are you fulfilled? I think so. I love the colony. Oh, Tang replies, looking away. I envy your clarity of vision. Honestly, Tang continues, I despise the physical realities of living here. The smell, the cramped quarters, the constant threat of attack, of disease, everyone's meaningless interpersonal squabbles, amplified by proximity and stress. I can feel them, weighing me down. She laughs humorlessly. But we don't have a choice, do we? Therefore, the only rational decision is to make the best of what we have. To accept otherwise is to accept misery and death. I mean, do you want to be an AI? Maybe we can upload you. There we go. That was Tangent's 100 skill. We just got the achievement Tangent's Focus, and I imagine she'll be on the main menu now. That's the Tangent you know so well. You can trust her to stay logical and focused, no matter what chaos tomorrow may bring. You walk until the chill of the night settles into your skin, then descend from the walls and walk back to the living quarters. Tang hesitates at the threshold. Anyone else might not have noticed, but you know Tang, probably better than anyone in the colony does, even her own brother. It's nothing, Tang replies. I'm just tired, I suppose. I'm working on something with the chief engineer that's bigger than anything I've ever worked on before. It could change the fate of the colony. Of humanity, even. She looks at you and gives you a faint smile. It's a lot to think about. When I'm alone, all I do is think about it. Hug. Tang's awkward silence conveys that she has to consider this deeply. Yes, she says finally. I do, actually. You enfold Tang in a gentle hug. After a few seconds of stunned inaction, Tang wraps her arms limply around you as well. You spread your hands wide and hold her more tightly, trying to manifest the right kind of comforting energy to resonate through Tang's shields. Either you manage, or she simply relents, but Tang rests her head on top of yours and sighs. This is where I talk about how physical touch encourages the production of oxytocin, she murmurs, which is a bonding hormone that imparts feelings of calm and security. You can feel her smile against your hair. I know you know that, though. So I'll simply say this is nice. Thank you. Tang straightens her coat. I am aware that I am not the easiest person to befriend, she admits. Among my many admirable qualities, I am also often cold, brusque. That's a word I see written often, but I don't ever have to read it out loud. Brusque? Brusque? You know what? I kind of want to know. And I want to officially find out. Alright, I hope you're ready for this.
Brusque.
Brusque, okay.
Brusque. Brusque.
That makes sense. And tactless. I owe you my thanks for taking the time to see through that. I don't know why you would have bothered, but I'm grateful. I think this dialogue is written as if we're not dating, because... Yeah, baby. You don't have to be alone tonight. Oh, an interesting proposition, Tang replies. What, precisely, do you mean? We could keep each other company. Tang scrutinizes your face for any hint of an ulterior motive. Convinced you have none, her shoulders drop. I'd like that, thank you, she says, defeated. You retire back to Tang's quarters, a largely sterile sleeping room with a few human touches, save for a few neglected plants and a ratty blanket that you recognize as the kind Chief Steward Anne used to knit by hand for every kid. There is a physical photo of Tang and Instance posed awkwardly together, as if they'd been working on something and told to take a break to smile for the camera. That's almost exactly what happened. You keep Tang quiet company for a few hours, trading bits of conversation until the first sun starts to rise. You look over and see that Tang's eyes have closed, and her face has finally gone slack in much-needed sleep. You pull the blanket over her and close your eyes as well, to catch a few hours before you're both expected back at work. Cute. So just normal stuff, but also, have any time to spare? Tang hums and checks the time on her holopalm. I think this will give us minus 50 stress. I suppose, she says archly, then smiles. If you provide me with sufficient motivation. You hang out in the lab. Tang cleans her workstation and to prepare to leave with you, but just as you take her arm, an alarm goes off. Tang curses and scrambles over to an experiment and turns off the alarm. I seem to have forgotten about this experiment requires a great deal of babysitting, she says. My apologies, but might we stay in the laboratory? 20, okay. There's nothing to be done about it when you're dating a brainiac like Tang, so you pull up a chair and settle in to keep her company. It's still nice to spend time with her. Cute. Alright, let's check out the lab. You're on your break from your work in engineering, catching up on colony social media, when Tang sits down beside you and clears her throat. The frown line between her eyebrows is a permanent feature these days, but today it's out in force. I need to talk through a problem I'm having, she says without preamble. Like a personal problem? Tang narrows her eyes slightly. What? Of course not. A scientific problem, nullhead. Usually I would talk through a blockage with Congruence, but Congruence's database is being recompiled this week. She's only functioning at 10% capacity, read-only. At that point, a literal human is better at logic. You're the only person I could think of who I trust with this kind of thing. Oh, nice, here we go, finally. Tang launches into an explanation of the problem she's having. Luckily, she doesn't require much from you except a friendly ear. You chime in with what you hope are helpful questions, leading her down different thought experiments that cause her to rethink the original problem, each of which she takes the time to explain with more passion than you thought Tang was capable of. From what you can gather, it has to do with inclusion bodies and cytoplasmic aggregates, and capsid proteins, and electron refractile particles. It's uber technical stuff. Biology 40. Here we go. Yes, precisely, Tang says, pleased you're keeping up. So as I was saying, the more you hear, the more you're sure of it. Chief Engineer Instance and Tang's secret project, the thing they've been working on behind closed doors for years, is an engineered disease, a designer virus targeting only native Vertumnan creatures. That's the only reason Tang could be asking these kind of questions. You ask to see her notes on the subject, and she pulls them up on her holopalm to show you. Yes, you're sure of it. If what they're working on is successful, it'll affect almost all fauna on Vertumna, from tiny hop-eyes to the terrible faceless. You surreptitiously record a copy of her notes on your own holopalm. No, okay, hold on, back up. Yeah. It is groundbreaking, but, I don't want to help her, so we'll see how that goes. Robots... Science problem? Sure will help. Viruses... Groundbreaking stuff... We didn't get a helped, minus or plus, but we have the copy of the notes, so maybe we can do something about it. If the chief engineer thinks this is a good thing to be researching, then it must be fine for Tang, and by extension you, to be working on. They must know what they're doing. Tang thanks you for your input and leaves, looking slightly more in control of her situation. Yeah, we're gonna have to do something about that. I don't mind the de-stress, but like... Hey, yo, it's kind of bothersome. Why was that 11 before? That's weird. I'm confused. And then... that, maybe? Well, that's a 51. Ooh, we can sort cards. That must be part of organizing. Made it go to a 52. That's not bad. 57. 59. What really changed there? Hell yeah. Creativity keeps going up, that's cool. Oh, well, let's go talk to Tang again. What you got for me, girl? Wait, she just told us about the plague. We just confirmed that we knew about it. Tang seems especially troubled today, so you invite her on a long walk. Okay, yeah, we've definitely had all this dialogue before. I know about the engineered plague. As your friend, please, don't do it. As my friend? As your boyfriend? Tang replies incredulous. A real friend would understand why I have to do this. I have to protect Dr. Instance. I have to protect the colony. She pushes herself off the wall and starts walking away from you. A few paces away, she stops and her shoulders slump. I don't want to do this, Garrett, she says miserably. If I don't help Instance, though, Lum is going to kill her. The colony needs her. I need her. I don't know what I'd do without her. She sighs. I don't know. Maybe we can convince him to stop? Tang scrubs her hands against her eyes and turns to you. What's my persuasion at? Ooh, my persuasion is super low. She looks so impossibly tired, and for a moment, as young as she really is. Lum is forcing us to work on the virus, she says. I don't know what to do. I don't think I have the persuasion to do what I need here. But maybe we can have Mars help. Visit command to put a stop to the chief engineer's genocidal plan. Tang will back you up. I see. What about Mars? Can I get several people to back me up? Hey Mars, I know we're not super duper close, but... poop. Except she's in favor of killing nature right back. Oh, jeez. Oh, this, right? Shoot. I could if he uses the bomb to blow up engineering, that'll definitely stop the plague, but, like, I'm kind of invested in engineering. I haven't even, I haven't once actually tried talking to Lum, and I don't imagine it'll go well, but I don't even know how it'll go. Last time when I had this conversation with Tang, I immediately went to Dice. And I'd already convinced him not to blow up the wall, so he still has his bomb, and I'm worried about that. Can I talk to parents about it? No. Alright, you know what? Screw it. Let's go talk to Lum. See exactly what happens. Tangent goes with you to confront Governor Lum. She looks scared. Lum is alone on the bridge. This is your chance to try to convince him to change course on his genocidal virus. Yeah, this isn't gonna go well. Lum looks up from his hollow palm when you enter. What is it? He snaps. I'm busy. Tangent raises her chin and takes a breath to steady her nerves beside you. You hope she's still willing to go through with this. You tell Governor Lum that you know everything about the bioengineered plague that he intends to unleash upon the planet, how he pressed Instance and Tangent into creating it under a threat of death, and how it will kill every living thing on Vertumna. Lum listens intently, his face growing colder as you speak. When you're done, he gives you a stern look. "You don't understand what you're talking about, Garrett," he says. "I'm the governor here. I make the decisions, not you. But I have evidence. I'll tell everyone." You show him what you found in Instance's lab, all of her notes and recordings, even her personal logs about her concerns over how they haven't managed to find a way to neutralize the dangerous fauna without causing a complete ecological collapse. Lum's face goes red. Excuse me? But he's uncharacteristically somber. "I don't know how you got this," he says slowly, "but it is damning. Thank you for bringing it to my attention." He's gonna kill Instance. Shit. You stare at Lum. "That's it?" He gives you an exasperated look. "That means you can go," he orders. "Leave before I change my mind and throw you in the brig on espionage charges." You have averted what could only have been the complete destruction of Vertumnan ecosystem, and saved Instance's life. I really don't think that's the outcome we achieved here! I really don't think that's the outcome we've achieved, game, but okay. Yeah, that's really, really bad. That's really bad. Holy crap. Okay. I guess that's what we're gonna go with then. And we're going to see what consequences will follow, because I have no doubt consequences will follow. Dice signs on to work in the robotics lab with you this month. He's a solid, dependable partner, though a little more interested in the software of the bots than their actual bodies. He loves finding ways to tweak their programming to make them run him more efficiently. That's actually pretty cool. Well, most of the time. Occasionally a bot will come back within a few days with a work ticket detailing some small insubordination, and Dice will just smirk. It's never anything serious, and he always fixes whatever problem he introduced. Nah, I like it. We still haven't done any med-bay stuff, but I will definitely try and get in there. How's that for a cheeky 32? $71. What do you think? Already have the best score. Hell yeah. Yeah, we're just going to have to trust that that's an end to the virus. Bomb's still a concern, though. He dies. Yeah. Yeah, that's a concern. I'm also aware that I completely refuse to meet Sim in this life, and I wonder what implications that will have. Alright, if we get nothing more from Repair Robots, we'll do Medbay next. It's literally just the same one. Okay, yeah, okay, so I'm pretty sure we're done. Maybe, like, we'll still do a couple each year, but we'll move our focus. Card gets +3, does it? $64. And what do you think, Fairy? 65, I see. 66 even. Yeah, I guess I gotta be thinking about the value being wild for just straights all the time. Straight of 5, 3, 4, 5. Could've got a 68. And it's dust time. Are we going to have Vertumnalia? I can't remember if this is the year Vertumnalia is cancelled. But that'll be after this, I think. Hey Rex, hey Cal, hey Mom, hey Dad. Come on, Roomba. Hey Dice. He's gonna blow up our wall. Hopefully we can maybe, like, I don't know, catch him, I guess? We've got no inkling that something is even going to happen, though. Tammy stands on the stoop of the lounge, wrapped in a heavy shawl and looking off into the distance. Do you ever feel like you're just waiting? She says. I feel like I'm waiting, but I don't know what for. We are so rich. Hey Tange, can I give you a flower? Have a flower. She still doesn't really care for that one, even though we are officially dating. Okay, I said we would go to medbay, so we will do medbay. You report for your first shift as Dr. Instance's nursing assistant. Instance was never supposed to be the literal doctor for everyone in the colony. All of the colony's medical needs were supposed to be covered by the medbeds, and then eventually with trained medical professionals from your generation. With the growing number of wounded and sick, it's pulling Instance's attention away from her actual work in the lab. That's why she needs the help. I'm a doctor, not a physician, Instance grumbles as she swipes through her holopalm to give you access to the medbay systems. I can study the local xenofauna so it stops killing us, or I can treat burns and upset tummies. I can't do both. There, she says, as the haptics in your holopalm pulse. You should have access. Now don't bother me for anything less than a cranial bleed. It's a medbed, not a jar of leeches. You follow the instructions and push the right buttons. You need something? Yes, congruence. Congruence beams at you from her holomonder. Can you handle that? I'll be like Jevil. I can do anything. That's the spirit, Congruence chirps. It's you and me, Garrett. High five. You gently bonk Congruence's panel with your open palm and she laughs. There are no patients today, so you're going to brush up on your first aid training. Every colonist gets first aid training starting in the early teens. Lungs gotta breathe, heart's gotta beat, blood should stay inside the body. Check. You run through quiz scenarios with Congruence for a whole week. CPR, elevate and put pressure on wounds, wrap broken bones, flush eyes with water, leave foreign objects in, and be real careful with neck injuries. Fun fact, Congruence informs you, in the field, your holopalm can discharge its batteries all at once as a makeshift defibrillator. Ooh, that's actually kind of cool. Defibrillator. First aid is important, but the goal is just to get the person stable long enough to bring them here, to a medbed. That's where you and Dr. Instance will take over. You'll be fine. Might only be a matter of life and death. No biggie. Ooh, good draw. I mean, not my best cards, but like all blue, so that's what we like. $61, $65. $65. Bullshit. I didn't even try the fairy. I should have tried the fairy. Oh yeah, and this gets us empathy. That's pretty cool. This year's Vertumnalia is ushered in with a big military band. Horns and drums supplemented by recordings of parade music from Earth. Governor Lum strides out of command on a grand red carpet and ascends the stage to raucous applause. Yeah, okay, shut up. You're a big poop face. Nobody likes you. Oh. Yo, cool. Hey, I've got good news, Lum adds, jumping back up on stage. This one's really gonna knock your socks off. The colony has its first pregnancy. The crowd murmurs in excitement, and Lum beckons Tammy to join him. Everyone... Oh, that is so her. Good for you, Tammy. crowd murmurs in excitement and Lamb beckons Tammy to join him. Everyone give a round of applause for Aspartame here, Vertumna's first mother. Tammy is beet red all the way to the tips of her ears, but she dutifully does a little twirl so Lum can show her off. Look at her, he exclaims. So vibrant, so healthy, just like our young colony. We're so proud of you, Tammy. Your child is going to join the ranks of the greatest species the universe has ever seen. Yeah, okay, hush up. Tammy's pregnant? Tammy descends from the stage into a gaggle of surprised and excited friends. OMG, is it really true? Mars asks immediately, taking Tammy by the hands. Yes, Tammy exclaims, like the secret is bursting out of her. I'm finally going to be a mommy, just like Aunt Anne. You take a good look at Tammy. You haven't seen a pregnant person in years, not since you landed, at least. Aren't they supposed to glow? Tammy looks radiant with pride and excitement. Looking more closely, you realize that her dress is starting to curve out around the belly. Every baby born to the colony, even you and your friends, is a complex arrangement of inherited, donated, and altered genes, and sometimes not even related to their parents. If the colony let Tammy have a baby, does that mean there will be more soon? Cal runs over from where he was standing with his family and sweeps Tammy up in a big hug, twirling her around. I'm so proud of you, he exclaims, then rests his hand gently on her belly. Sorry, too much spin? You okay, little hop-eye? They look at each other adoringly. Didn't mean to do that. As you stand around and marvel at Tammy's news, the adults all start putting away the chairs and setting up for the games and contests. Mars puts her hands on her hips. So, she starts, what does everyone think about this war on nature? I think it's stupid, Cal says immediately. Okay, I know we've had this discussion before. Trivia. Tangent is out for blood this year. She snaps at anyone who tries to talk to her before the trivia begins and complains that she's been cramming so hard on pop culture that she feels like her brain is about to explode. Meanwhile, Nomi Nomi just bobs along to the music in their holospheak as they wait, totally unbothered. Yeah, that's pretty on par. 111. And this is a bad draw for us. Shoot. Save all of our science. We've got some leeway to force through, but I'd of course rather not if I don't have to. I don't think I can save. We need that boost for this last round here. Ooh, this is rough. $44. 50, we can push through that. Glad I had that egg. I guess that's what we're gonna have to do. Could have gotten a 56 somehow. I should have tried the fairy. I don't trust the fairy, is the problem. Trivia champion. Tange's cramming clearly paid off for her. She's strong competition until the category about Old Earth slang, where you clearly pull ahead. You snatch victory from her clutches, and she grudgingly accepts your superiority in all things trivia. After the festivities, everyone is supposed to take a few days vacation. Yeah. Alright, cool. That was the last Vertumnalia. What's up, Tanger? I need more collectibles. They come in clutch sometimes. And that is the unfortunate problem about not being an explorer, is I just don't have access to much in the way of collectibles. Oh yeah. Now, Are you the dad? I'm assuming you're the dad, but like the thing said, a lot of the births on the colony are not natural births, so was yours? Judging by the fact that Cal ran up, I'm going to guess it was, but like, yeah, I don't know. Nomi crash. Oh yeah, we already know that they don't know their own augment. Yeah, we've had that one before with Nomi. Tammy is sweeping the front stoop of the lounge, humming a little song to herself. As you approach, you see her stand up straighter and rub her back. Now that you know, it's clear she's pregnant. I wonder how you didn't catch on before Vertumnalia. It's still mind-blowing that she's going to have a baby, the first child born from someone who was themselves born in space. It's hard to believe she's only 1 year older than you. Little Tammy, who cries when toys break and is scared to leave the walls. She's going to be a mom. Tammy looks up as you approach and smiles. Hello, Carrot. It's so nice out today, don't you think? She always thinks it's a nice day, even when it's pouring rain. It must be nice to be so cheerful all the time. This feels like it would be flirting, but I guess it's not. I can't believe you're pregnant. Tammy laughs and ducks her head. Well, believe it, she says, smiling to herself. It's definitely real. I have the swollen ankles to prove it. Whose is it? Why, it's mine, she says, tilting her head at you with a sweet but defiant expression. But Cal says he wants to be a father to them too. Them, ooh. She adds, he's been really supportive. Tammy leans on her broom with a dreamy smile. I thought about it for a long time and talked to Aunt Anne and Dr. Instance, she says. I've always known I wanted children. She giggles in thought. Lots of them, so why not get started now? Aunt Anne and I are going to run the new creche, so I'll have plenty of help raising them, the same way I was raised, she adds. I might not be the strongest or smartest person in the colony, but I'm going to be the best mom. I know I can do this. Do you ever want kids, Garrett? One or two, maybe. Tange smiles indulgently. Tammy. That's nice, Garrett. I can't wait to see them in the creche. Tammy goes back to sweeping the stoop, adding little snippets of lyrics to her made-up song. Cute. Good for you, Tammy. Alrighty. I feel an increase in dopamine when I see you, Tange says, slipping her hand into yours. Or I suppose it could be the bonding hormone, oxytocin. Do you know there are 4 major hormones that play a role in what we register as happiness? She smiles at you, then seems to remember herself. What I mean is, in this current moment, I am happy with you. That's cute. Alright, let's go back to medbay. Sometimes called to the field to help stabilize someone before transporting them to the medbay. You've seen compound fractures, partial amputations, mangled limbs, partial paralysis. Colony is a dangerous place. 9996 9999 71. What do you think, Fairy? Yeah? Cool. Alright, anything from anyone at all, or are we good to just kind of motor along? I am down for the motoring. Still worried about Dice and his bomb. Should probably go do some xenobotany again. Anemone comes in with a training injury, a gouge that runs from her knee to her ankle. She hobbles in with a big smile. God, I haven't done your voice in a while. This one's gonna be kick-ass, she crows as you help her get into the med bed. The med bed's a miraculous technology. Combined with genetic modifications made to your body, they can cure diseases and make your cells regenerate quickly, repairing even the most mangled limbs. If it's still attached to your body, the med bed can heal it. For Anemone, though, her genetic mutation means that instead of regenerating smooth new skin, she gets rough blue scales instead, much stronger than human skin. Anemone flicks the dials on the control panel and fiddles with the angle on the lamp overhead. Seriously, this thing is more comfortable than my bed! It's worth more than the whole ship, too, Instant snaps. So don't break it! Anemone pulls her hands in with an awkward giggle. You connect to the medbed with your holopalm and see the interface and diagnostics there. It's a confusing mess of readouts and buttons. The user's manual is ridiculously obtuse. You ask Instance for help, but she just scoffs. I don't have time or the temperament to walk you through it. I learned how to use it myself, and so can you. Just don't break it. Press the right buttons. It's really very intuitive, if you have half a brain for it. You figure out the machine with zero problems. The sun lamps turn on. The monitor says, please lie still for 2 hours. Anemone groans. It's gonna take forever, she complains. Stay with me a while? You end up staying the whole time, keeping Anemone company. That's not a bad card to have locked. Would have had it in a better position, but what can you do? Cool. Creativity is almost up to another perk, and so is empathy. Creativity was the robotics lab, so we're definitely going to do one more of those soon. Wet time, how's everybody doing? Tammy almost looked like she had something. Oh god, she's gonna give birth next year. Or this year? When did she... when did she actually become pregnant? Is she going to give birth during the attack on Glow when Dice blows up his bomb? Ooh, random act of kindness. I want to do something nice for Mars, Tammy says, fiddling with the hem of her dress. But I don't know what. She just nanoprints whatever she needs. She snaps her fingers. I know. Why don't we ask Auntie Seton to help us put on a spa day for her? Asking an adult, +2 to last card. Auntie Seton has a whole cabinet of nice-smelling lotions, soaps, and scented candles. She lets you choose a few of each and reserves one of the private lounge anterooms for you. Sure, Mars can buy her own lotion, but what she can't buy is the loving servitude of her friends. You help Tammy primp and pamper Mars. She's surprised and a little humbled by the attention, and gives you both a genuine hug and thanks. Tammy has good instincts. She always knows what people secretly needs, and Mars needed to have something nice given to her instead of having to demand it. Interesting. One more with you? Yeah. Surprise party. That's pretty cool, +5 on the 3rd stage of challenges. I like that effect for what the card is. Alright, cool. Back into the lab. Actually, let's... No... Yeah, I think we're okay with not doing xenobotany. But we still have more to do there as well. I do want to do some more repair robots, because then we'll get our creativity up. Nomi still comes by to hang out, even though they don't work in the lab after the exosuit incident. They like to visit the bots and see what you're tinkering with. They'll always be a fan of robots. Cute. Wow, a lot of our duplicates. This one. 52. What do you think, game? 52 is the best. Did I get our perk up? Oh, come on. 66, and we have +15 on it, so it's currently at 61. So we need 4 more creativity. Mid-wet. Oh, no, no, no. I'm seeing nothing. Ooh, blue bobber fruit. Take that. We are absolutely stinking rich, and I've got, like, nothing to do with most of it. I mean, maybe I'll see if there's something akin to the fidget spinner I can buy right now. Also, we're getting a little stressed out. Backpack might be nice. Having that is pretty decent, but it's only a +2. Let's buy the backpack. That'll help. Come on, Roomba! I should rest next month, I think, so that we're as ready as we can for whatever DICE is going to do. Even with the med beds, the colony keeps a few medicines in stock. Mild painkillers and anti-inflammatories, vaccines, prophylactics for vertumnant diseases, various drugs for anxiety and depression, anything that doesn't warrant tying up a med bed. There's also a collection of pastes, powders, and tinctures from native species. Dr. Instance is showing you how to inventory and restock the medicine cabinet. She picks up a jar of tincture and regards it with distaste. "This is barbarism," she complains before handing it to you to stock. "When the machines finally break down and leave us with this, the colony will be in real trouble. Medicine used to be an art, not a science," she continues, her emphasis on the word art indicating her poor opinion of it. "Ointments and oils peddled by salesmen to people too ignorant and desperate to know better, cutting people open with unwashed hands, drilling holes in their heads." "Yes, and nobody needed their lifetime of hands-on experience or applied wisdom," Congruence chimes in from a nearby maunder with what must be sarcasm. "Training in vert space and relying on medbeds is much more civilized." Instant scowls with the weight of 20 years of resentment. "I wasn't trained as a medical doctor," she retorts. "Of course you were," Congruence coos patronizingly. "I trained you myself." Instance throws her hands in the air and turns to you. "I already had 2 advanced degrees when we left Earth," she proclaims. "I was a published academic. They wanted someone who could fix humans. They should have brought along a physician, not trained one after the fact." She scowls and starts restocking the medicine herself, shoving things wherever they fit. "I'm a biologist, a researcher. My defining quality is that I get things done. Don't expect me to smile about it." Patients need to feel comforted. You think an important part of the doctor's job is to make them feel safe. It's scientific too. Stress and negativity have physical effects on people's ability to heal. Instance huffs and slams the door of the medicine cabinet. "You're important too, Instance, but you're also just super unpleasant sometimes. You know that?" Gym there. This one's a little bit more complicated. Well, we got a 43 there. That's definitely solid. What if we did that? Same thing. What if we did that? 46? What about that? 48. Okay, just screw those cards. The flush is even better. 48, 46. I feel like 48 is best we can do here, but what do you think? It agrees. Okay, cool. Super goal was not possible there. $45, so 30. So we're close to the ranking up in empathy. Okay, nothing there. Anything out here? Guys okay? Yeah, you're fine. Oh, right, we wanted to chill, because we're at 95. Let's relax in the lounge, sure. Yeah, get rid of that. Glow time. I would like, yes, a crystal cluster, thank you. Those are helpful. And people like them as gifts. Do I know how to sneak out? I don't think I do I? No. Hey, buddy. You gonna blow up the wall? Please don't. Yeah, definitely not new. Line there. I guess we'll assist in medbay. You give Tammy a prenatal checkup, using the medbed to scan for fetal anomalies so you can fix up the really fatal ones. Everything is looking great, though. The colony's first pregnancy is going smoothly. Wish it told us how long to expect. Genius deduction. Ooh, hey now. $63 would probably be better if we had that. Yeah, but I want that +1 skill. No. It was alright with that. It understood why I did it. Didn't give me... Well, we got 3 empathy anyways, but I wasn't really after the biology. You're just putting your boots on... Let's just see what the perk is. Pay to remove cards in the quarter spa. Oh, that's pretty cool. We cannot join the colony defense. Governor Lum is so confident in the colony's defense these days that there aren't even designated emergency shelters, so your room is the safest place to be. You post up in bed and scroll through Congruence's media library, intending to wait out the attack here. You wait a long time. Yeah, this is the weeks-long war. The sounds of fighting don't cease for hours, long past dinner time and well into the evening, then even past the usual changing of the guard. From your window, you can see plasma rifle fire atop the walls, and the steady phew-phew of the laser turrets. Bright flashes fighting back the gloom of glow. The gloom of glow, I like that. You want to stay up, but eventually it gets so late that you force yourself to sleep. After a fretful rest, you wake up to the realization that the colony is still under attack. In the perpetual twilight of glow, it's hard to tell the time, but your growing stomach knows. It's well past breakfast, and you missed dinner last night. While you're deciding what to do, your holopalm chimes with a priority video announcement. Governor Lum appears on your holopalm, looking surprisingly well-groomed. "Good morning, Vertumna," he says with a calm smile. "As you may know, the colony is still engaged in battle against the alien threat. The walls are holding strong, and our soldiers keep mowing those Xenos down, but there is no sign of stopping yet. All non-combat personnel are to continue to shelter in place while our brave soldiers defend the colony. Non-essential work is suspended. Meals and other supplies will be brought door to door." He clenches his fist. "Stay strong, Vertumna. We'll weather this siege together." As he signs off, the colony's social media lights up with conversation. Mars and Nomi are excited to skip work and watch holovids. Tangent is frustrated she can't go to the lab and concerned for her experiments. Cal's worried about the fields. Only Vase and Anemone are silent, probably because they're still out there fighting. In the permanent dusk of glow, the day seems to drag on forever. Again, you have to force yourself to sleep with the sound of gunfire drifting through your windows. When you wake up the next morning, you realize you can't stomach another day of being cooped up in your room. Your anxiety has congealed into boredom. Anemone and Vase are either fighting or sleeping, and you haven't heard from Dice in days. Worrisome. You bet your other friends would appreciate a visit, though. Mars and Tange. You meet Tangent and Mars in the lounge. It's nearly empty, except for the sound of Aunt Anne in the kitchen cooking batch meals for delivery to everyone's rooms. I can't believe they're keeping us here, Tangent complains, pacing the floor. I know, it's so boring, Mars adds. I've already watched everything twice. I simply cannot sit in my room alone for one more minute. Tange stops pacing. Well, I meant I really have an experiment that I shouldn't leave unsupervised, she says, but I suppose your thing is important as well. She sighs and crosses her arms. Dr. Instance won't let me anywhere near the labs. I have to stay with the kids. Ugh, Mars replies, rolling her eyes. Like you're not the biggest brainiac this side of the wormhole, Mars sighs dramatically. No one here knows what to do with us, the best and brightest of the colony. What a waste. 4 more days pass. You and your friends remain trapped indoors, forcing to listen to the constant sounds of laser fire and rattling turrets from all around the colony. The Xenos never manage to breach the wall, but they just keep coming. Exhausted guards cycle on and off the walls in shifts, dead-eyed and listless. You catch a glimpse of Anemone mechanically shoveling soy porridge into her mouth before seeming to fall asleep sitting up. That was us last life. Finally, after the 6th day of the siege, you hear a curious sound. Silence. You run out into the colony square to see the soldiers returning from their posts. It's over. Your holopalm lights up with a priority announcement from Governor Lum. The alien attackers have been defeated, he says. The siege has ended. Lum smiles broadly and puffs out his chest. Another year, another win. You're welcome, Vertumna. You're welcome, humanity. Yeah, okay, that's not new. Rhett getting himself labeled a treasonous traitor. And boom. The year's over. That one took us a little bit longer because we had a lot of reading to get through, but otherwise, I'd say good progress. And there's our empathy perk. Cool. Well, it's the beginning of quiet, so you know what that means. It's time for us to end it off here for today. We only have 2 episodes left in this life. I hope you're ready to see what happens. So thank you to everyone for joining me. I hope you had fun. And I will see you all next time for some more I Was a Teenage Exocolonist.